If there was ever a moment in recorded history that looks like a scene out of an action movie, it would be this GoPro helmet cam footage of two King airplanes colliding mid-flight. The fiery scene, which unfolded 12,000 feet in the air above, sent one small plane careening into the ground, while another limped safely back to the runway. Fortunately, the 11 passengers aboard the planes were there with the intentions of going skydiving, meaning that everyone involved in the wreck had come aboard with their very own parachute. For them, the collision resulted in nothing more than minor injuries to two of them. The crash happened on a bright Saturday evening over Superior, Wisconsin, near the Minnesota state line. The two single-engine planes were maneuvering into a position called a tracking dive, which is when one plane is closely following the other just before the skydivers prepare their jump. However, as seen captured on the cameras, one plane ended up flying underneath the other. In the confusion, the pilots unknowingly quickly closed the gap between the two planes and slammed into each other, causing catastrophic damage to the plane's propellers, wings, and bodies. In addition, upon impact, Daniel Chandler, one of the skydivers, was pinned between the planes and then thrown into the open skies, after which the rest of the divers followed suit. One by one, they poured out of the wreckage into the safety of the sky. The falling cameraman turns to look back at the debris just as the lower plane's engine erupts into a fiery sight. At that point, the pilot realized it was a lost cause and is seen diving out of the wreckage using his emergency chute. Despite that, the other pilot chose to remain inside the cockpit of his plane. Luckily for him, the plane he was piloting hadn't caught fire and it was able to limp to a safe landing. As for the rest, they parachuted down safely into an open field. Much to their relief, the abandoned plane spiraled down into an empty field. As crazy dangerous as it seems on the GoPro footage, of all the mid-air collisions to have, this one probably happened in the most ideal of circumstances. Although the farmer whose field was ruined by a crashing plane might disagree. They say justice is best served cold, but sometimes it chooses to be served as two red-hot bullets. On Saturday, October 12, 2013 in Sao Paulo, a helmet-mounted GoPro captured a Brazilian robber getting shot after trying to steal a motorcycle. The footage went viral after it was published on YouTube and shared on social media sites. The cameraman riding on a motorcycle is seen approaching an intersection, when another motorcyclist and his passenger pull in front of him. The passenger on the other motorcycle points a pistol directly at the cameraman, who quickly steps off the bike. The biker hands over his keys to the gunman, who then attempts to flee with the newly acquired motorcycle. However, before he is able to drive off, a man exits a car sitting next to them, pulls a gun, and shouts at the thief. The heroic stranger turns out to be an off-duty police officer. The officer demanded for the thief to step away from the stolen bike. Instead, he retaliates by pointing his firearm at the officer. The officer responds by unloading 2 shots into him. The bullets hit the robber in the abdomen and leg, causing him to drop to the ground. After the video ends, an ambulance rushes to the thief to rush the young man away. The 18-year-old survived wounds but was slapped with a long prison sentence. A Russian paraglider experienced the fright of a lifetime when his parachute accidentally nabbed an additional passenger while he was soaring miles above the Indian Himalayas. The man, an experienced paraglider nicknamed Paravolka by the paragliding community, was enjoying his glide down back to Earth when he had the misfortune of colliding with an adult griffin vulture. The vulture became entangled in the ropes and compromised the effectiveness of the parachute. Before he knew it, Paravolka was descending toward the ground at an alarming rate. Luckily, he managed to open the emergency parachute, which greatly decelerated his fall and helped him regain control of the deadly situation, which saved his life. Still, the Russian man was destined for a crash landing into the trees. Miraculously, he only received minor injuries, and once safely on the ground, he was able to radio his friends for help. As for the large bird, it was still tangled in the ropes, but nonetheless, it was still alive. Paravolka was kind and daring enough to free the spooked bird. Not an easy task either, the claws had become tightly tangled in the canopy. Finally, when the bird was freed, it flew away, presumably to harass more parachuters. The dangerous flight, or fall if you will, was caught using a GoPro attached to the glider's helmet. Typically, when you have this type of nightmare, you wake up just before you hit the ground. But unfortunately for Stefan Egger, he wasn't going to wake up because he wasn't dreaming. He had actually fallen off a cliff and the impact would be very real. Captured on a helmet-mounted GoPro, the video starts off with the experienced skier and his partner enjoying the scenery atop a snowy mountain peak. At which point he peers over the cliffside, unknowingly foreshadowing the fall he'll soon be taking. Then Egger makes his way back to his skis, but as Egger goes to clamp in, he loses his footing and stumbles backward, directly off the steep edge of the cliff. The worst part of the video is his audible "oh" as he realizes he's falling. We then witness from a first-person perspective as he plummets onto jagged rocks protruding from the snow and violently smashes about as he fruitlessly attempts to save himself. Amazingly, he survived the rocky incline and eventually rolled into a snowy patch, where he then let out a gasp of pain before looking up at the route he had fallen down. After releasing the footage online, Ager became a global internet sensation. After his astonishing escape, he said he is thankful he is still in one piece. If these two daredevils are out to prove anything, it's that they're not afraid of heights, which the duo demonstrate by climbing the second largest building in the world, the Shanghai Tower. This is one video you'll be holding your breath for the entirety of. The video was shot during the construction of the building and starts on street level with a masked man, speaking Russian to the cameraman. The two then travel to the base of the tower, scale a wall, and illegally gain access to the site. From there, they stealthily work their way up to the barren interior, being careful not to be noticed by the night guards. First, they start their ascent the easy way by taking the stairs all the way to the top floors, which other than breaking a few laws doesn't seem so extreme. So the daring duo step it up a notch by nonchalantly dangling themselves over the ledge of the 650-meter tall building, so high up that even when the cameraman attempts to look at the ground, his view is obstructed by an actual cloud. After deciding that wasn't daring enough, they proceed to climb a construction crane. But they don't just climb the crane, they climb the raised arm as well, which just happens to hang over the building side. The further they climb, the more apparent it becomes how dangerous it is, as they scale vertical scaffolding and horizontal ladders. One slip up and either of these men could easily fall to their death. The video ends once they reach the top of the crane, so we can only assume they made it back down safely. Otherwise, who would have uploaded the video? This is one good deed that didn't go unpunished. A moose tracker releases a young moose cow into the wild, only to have it come right back at him swinging. Moose are one of the most dangerous big game animals in North America. Every year, people are mauled and killed by the giant mammal. This attackee caught his life-threatening experience on a GoPro camera. The moose in the video was staged to be released after she had been properly tagged. The tracker had her brought out to a secluded opening in the forest so he could remove her restraints. However, once removed, instead of running away as he planned, the moose chose to confront the man. Reining on its back legs, the moose aggressively pushes him down, kicking him numerous times before backing off. The man stayed surprisingly calm, even joking about the calf's anger issues, which must have struck another nerve